is Audra May. I'm the head administrator here at Legacy, and we're going to talk this morning about all kinds of good stuff. We hope to honor your time and not waste your time by giving you random pieces of information that aren't important. But we do want to just take some time to be specifically with our new families. Hopefully you were welcomed this morning by some of our current families, and just always know that you can ask them questions if you're curious about anything, if you don't feel like admin needs to get involved or whatever. So anyway, I'm going to start off this morning with prayer and then make some introductions of our staff, and then we'll get moving, okay? Heavenly Father, we just thank you this morning for each person that is here. We thank you, God, for the opportunity to meet our new families and just to help equip them and prepare them for the upcoming school year. Father, we thank you for all of the many blessings that you've given Legacy, for our facility, for our fabulous teachers who we got to spend the entire week with last week. And so, God, we just ask you to be with us today. We ask you to just speak through us, and we pray that this morning would really just more than anything be a time of fellowship where we get to know one another and just become familiar with what Legacy is all about. We pray these things in the name of Jesus. Amen. All right, let me start with some introductions real quick. For those of you who have elementary, there'll be some that are just specific to your campus. And then for those of you that have middle and high school, there'll be others that are specific to yours. Some of you have elementary, middle, and high school, or elementary and middle. So you'll get to know everybody that's up here eventually. As I said, my name is Audra May. I'm the head administrator here. Second in command is Gina Francis. Gina mainly works on the Tuesday, Thursday elementary campus, but she's also here on Monday. So her title is head of elementary, but she also directs a lot of what goes on here facility-wise. She's also responsible for sending out the weekly emails. So if you have questions about the weekly email or you're not receiving it, please let her know. The weekly email has your second Bible, and then I guess Praxi would be your third Bible. Anyway, don't replace your first Bible with the weekly email, but there is lots of good information in the weekly email. We try and put it in one place. So if you're not getting it, please let Gina know. Next to her is Jennifer Kennedy. Jennifer is our curriculum coordinator for elementary. She has been a parent here for 6 years, so she is well versed in how Legacy works. She has, is your oldest in middle school this year? Okay, so she has middle school and elementary students that will be here this year. So if you want to talk with her about curriculum questions, you're more than welcome to reach out to her. Next to her is Amanda Jones. This will be Amanda's second year at Legacy. She taught upper school English and publications 1 year, but she is now our head of curriculum for middle and high school. So she and Jennifer work together. And then she also will be publishing our monthly newspaper, well, sort of monthly, Pause for Thought. So if you have questions, and then she's also teaching, so she's wearing several different hats. She has 4 little girls. She lives the opposite life as me. And do you have one in middle school?
One in middle school.
Okay, one in middle school and the rest in elementary. So she kind of spans both campuses as well. Over here is Lisa Bontrager. Lisa is the elementary principal. She is here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Every day your elementary babies are here. So if you have questions for Ms. Bontrager, she will be more than happy to answer them about elementary. She doesn't have kids here. Well, you have one here that doesn't. Her daughter is Ashley Snell, who is Ashley is our director of technology and testing coordinator. So her daughter actually works here.
And I have a grandbaby here.
And a grandbaby here, a student in kindergarten. Okay, next to her is Shannon Jones. Shannon is our middle school and high school principal. So she oversees both of those areas. She's been working really hard this summer because we have had a mass influx of middle school and high school students, more than we've ever seen. So it's been a really, really busy time. This is Shannon's second year at Legacy. She's had a daughter graduate from Legacy. Well, this is your second year to work at Legacy, but she's had a daughter graduate from Legacy. She's got a son who will be a senior this year at Legacy, and she has a daughter in the 8th grade at Legacy. So she can give you some good feedback about middle school and high school. Next to her is Clint McDonald. Clint is our Dean of Student Activities for middle school and high school, but he will be in charge this year of overseeing our middle school campus. For those of you who may not have a middle schooler, middle school is right out here in our portables. And so sometimes they feel like they're the forgotten group because they're not inside the building. So Clint is going to let them know that we didn't forget them. And he'll be keeping an eye on them. Clint also does some coaching for us, junior high and high school football, and I think maybe some baseball this year. We're reeling him in as fast as we can. And then Clint has a sophomore this year at Legacy, Carson. All right, and then next to Clint is Christy Dunn. Christy is our Dean of Family Ministry. That's a pretty big job. It encompasses all of the school, but it is her responsibility to just keep an eye on the spiritual pulse of our campus. She's responsible for a lot of the coffee connections, pride meetings, really anything that involves families and how we equip our families. If you're having problems on home days and you've reached out to maybe another parent and a teacher and you're still struggling, Christy would be who you would contact. She's got a lot of resources, and even through our parents that can help you. So, or if your student is struggling and you feel like they need someone to talk to, that's why Christy's here. And then I feel like I need to sort of introduce some of you here. Jody Robinson, many of you have met. I know. Yeah. Hi, Jody. Jody is really the first face and voice that you hear when you apply. So Jody's our head of admissions, and she's been super busy. She keeps begging us to establish a deadline for when we cut off all these applications. But anyway, she hasn't run away, and she's back this morning, so that's a good sign. And is there somebody hiding back over there? Cindy Summers is our. Really, you kind of work mostly Tuesday, Thursdays. She is family sports staff and also family ministry aide. She'll do a lot of the elementary chapels and just different things like that. But Cindy is Evan fourth grade? She has a fourth grader. So, all right. So I'm going to introduce our families too. This is Adrian Bird. Adrian, how long? 8 years?
Decade. We're a decade this year.
10 years. Okay. So Adrian has been at Legacy for 10 years. She has one high schooler, a middle schooler, and 2 elementaries.
Correct.
Okay. Boy and girls.
Right.
3 girls, 1 boy.
Yes.
So Adrian is a great help. She's been here for quite a while, involved in several different things. So she's a great resource. Next to her is Michelle Keys. Michelle has, are you 5 years? 4 years. This is Michelle's son here, Carson. Carson he'll be are you an 8th grader this year? Yes. Carson is an 8th grader this year, and then she has one in 6th grade. Okay, so David's in between now. And then Jennifer Freeman also lives my opposite life. Jennifer has 4 daughters. Are y'all 7 years? 9 years. Why can't I keep up? Okay, that's a long time. So Jennifer has a 9th grader, a 7th grader, and then are your littles in middle school?
They're odd years.
Okay. So Jennifer has seen elementary through high school. She can help, and she's here all the time. So feel free to reach out to Jennifer. And then
I'm Taylor Johnson.
Taylor Johnson. Okay.
I'm a kindergartner, going to kindergarten, and going to 3rd grade.
Okay. So you're primarily elementary.
Yes.
That's why I apologize. I did not know that.
No.
Oh, okay. And then you help. She's our speech therapist. So if we have issues there, then Ms. Johnson might be who you would have conversations with. Okay, I just want to make sure that I didn't. I think I got all of y'all. I didn't tell y'all you were going to be introduced. Cheryl snuck in. Okay, this is Cheryl Laws. Cheryl works in our business office. She was here most of last semester, so she's kind of got that experience under her belt. She'll be a new parent this year, bringing 2. Are they both middle school? 3rd and 6th. So 3rd and 6th grader this year. But Cheryl works in our business office. If you have any questions about your tuition or different things like that, and then most likely see Cheryl's face. She's Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, right? Or
Monday, Wednesday, Friday now.
Oh, you switched because of middle school. Right. Okay. It's hard to keep up with everybody. Okay. All right. I think I got everybody. All right. So we're going to move in a little bit to our parents, to some of our new parent training. Talk a little bit about what you can expect as a new parent here at Legacy. And over the next couple of days, you'll get more and more. We're going to try not to overwhelm you with information. The very first thing that we do is just sort of set a vision. You all have come to an information meeting, I'm sure, and you've heard my spiel about how Legacy got started and why it's here. But if, this is where, at this point, you ask yourself, why am I here? What am I doing here? And hopefully your answer is something along the lines of, you want to spend more time with your child, you want to be more involved in their education, you want to be able to pass on your faith and values. I'm assuming after interviewing, our families having interviewed and talked with you, that you have a good understanding of why you're here. But we want to tell you why we hope you're here and why Legacy is here. First and foremost, in a world that looks like it does today and behaves like it does today, it's really important as parents that we're connected with our children, that we are the ones imparting our faith and values to them, because otherwise somebody else gets to do that for you. And so first and foremost, in fact, University Model Schooling used to be called parent-based education, except that it got confused with homeschooling. So the university model really values the parent's role in bringing up their child, which sounds, well, of course, but in a culture today that pushes parents further and further away from their children, this is kind of the opposite. So Legacy's model does not work without you. It is a partnership with our teachers. And so if you're having trouble and struggling at home, then most likely the transition back to the classroom the next day is going to be tough. So it is our heart, our desire to help equip you to be successful at home so that your child is successful in this model. First and foremost, we want to instill a biblical worldview into our students. We want them to understand the way that God sees the world, so that as they're looking through the world through God's eyes, through God's lens, they're able to filter, what's good and what's not. And this week, as we prepared our teachers for school, we talked about God's work before homework. We're here to do God's work, not necessarily homework. So part of what we'll be starting with in the classrooms every day that we have your children is, what does God have to say about this? Our view is that God is the author of every single subject. And so we want to start with that. We don't want to forget it. We don't want to leave it until the end. We don't want to start with the subject and then put God down here at the bottom. We're starting based on the premise that God is the author of every single subject that we're teaching. And so we really want our kids to understand what the Bible says about the different issues that are out there. And that's complicated because they're hearing the opposite from their friends, from TV, from music, from movies that they go watch. They're inundated with the opposite of the way that God feels about things. And so it's our responsibility as parents to make sure that they are equipped with a worldview and that they know how God sees them as well. We want to prepare them for the rigors of college. I have lots to say about that I'm not going to get into now. Having one that has spent a year in college, I am loading up my second one to take him to college this week. I can tell you there's a lot more important things that our kids need to know than rigorous academics. When they leave Legacy to go to college, they're going to be prepared academically. They're going to be prepared. We have 31, this is an example, we have 31 seniors this year. I believe it's 29 of our seniors passed their TSI and will be taking dual credit classes. So out of a class of 31 students, we have 2 that'll be, on level, which is fine. It's hard enough as it is. But your students are going to be prepared when they leave here academically for the rigors of college. But that is not necessarily the biggest obstacle that they're going to face when they get there. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. And then we want them to guide them into independent thinking. I think when you first read that, you think we want them to think for themselves and not have anything to do with. That's not what we're saying. When they get to college, they are going to be told a lot of things that just aren't going to make sense to them. It's really going to be new to them. My son is at a private Christian college, and some of the things that he has been taught have just been mind-boggling. So it really doesn't matter what kind of campus they're on. They're going to hear things that are the antithesis of what they believe. So we need for them to think independently of what they've been taught or what they're being taught. We need for them to think, that doesn't make sense. That's not what I was told. We want them to be able to know where to go find the answers to this. hopefully, if they don't feel comfortable turning to God's Word, they feel comfortable calling their parents and having that conversation with them, because that's what they've been doing while they're here. To me, some of the things that have benefited my family most are just conversations that we've had in cars, around our dinner table, just random conversations that come up that's so pivotal and important. So we want them to be able to think past a lot of, what is shoveled out in some of these college classes. And we want them to work hard. I was laughing with Shannon just a minute ago. I dropped my oldest off on Saturday, and they started workouts Sunday morning, and he just was dreading it because it's on a turf field. They'll move their practices to the middle of the day to get the kids, ready for the heat so that they're not passing out. Well, last year my son wound up in the hospital with kidneys that were about to fail because he just wasn't going to quit. He was a freshman trying to make a good impression, and wound up in the hospital. So I'm moving him this year going, please just drink the water, drink the electrolyte, eat the bananas, suck on the pickle, whatever it takes. I don't care. I just don't want to have to hear, drive away and you pray they're okay and then your son's in the hospital. So, but he gives his best at everything he does, to the point of, winding up in the hospital with needles stuck in him. We want them to give their best because we want them to work for the glory of God, not just for themselves. And when they're pushed to do that, the difference is noticeable. His coaches have been very complimentary about how hard he works and why he works that hard, and that's the end goal. That's what we're training them to do. And then I always put my little circle here because as Legacy has continued to grow, this year we have more students enrolled than we've ever had before, and hopefully that's a trend that continues. We're always having to look at what belongs at Legacy. We have families every year that say, the home day is really hard. Have you guys ever considered being a 5-day-a-week school? Well, for any of us that have kids at home, we're like, yes, every day. Think about it every day. But that is not who we are. That is not what we do. That is not the university model. So if you have, we say this to our families all the time, if you have ideas, if you have suggestions, please come and talk with us about it. But we have to go back and look at what is Legacy all about, and if it doesn't fit inside this little circle, then we have to say, no, that's not who we are, that's not what we do, that's not what we're about. And it's really, really important, especially as a model that's so different than anything else that's out there, for us to be just laser focused on what it is that we're all about. So we try to keep what belongs in Legacy in that circle and what doesn't belong in Legacy outside of that circle. And that could be anything from the way kids behave, on a football field or in a classroom or whatever. There's a focus and an intent to what we're doing here, and we hope that as you're here that you can see what we're all about and specifically who we're all about. Well, most of you already know that. Oh my gosh, look at my little babies. Time does fly so fast. Those are both of my babies up top and both of the big boys now. I can't even believe how fast that got here. Super fast. So I've got a third one. I gotta quit looking at it. Got a third one this year. It's my fault. I had them back to back to back. I have no one to blame but myself, and my husband had a little something to do with it. But my kids have left one right after the other, and when we started, that little picture of the kid in the yellow, that's what my kiddo looked like. And now he's much hairier than he is in that picture. But it happened so fast, and it was hard. I mean, there were days when there were tears, there were struggles, and life. Same with my number 2 guy. But they're ready. I know we've done our job. We've been in the trenches with them. We've had those conversations with them. I have to believe that they're ready, because especially if you've got boys, man, you're sending them off. The rule in our house is we don't care if you go to Podunk Junior College in Podunk, USA, you're going to leave home. And you're going to go, test your merit, find out what you're worth. And every time they leave, I go, is that really a good idea? But it is, and they're ready. But that's what we're prepping them for. And you may have a fourth grader today, but I'm telling you, it's like tomorrow when they're walking across the stage. No matter how hard you try to work against it, it comes fast. And one year we had a parent speak, and I know you've heard this, but it said I won't get it right, but it's something like, the moments are few, the days are long, but the moments are short and brief, and they come really fast. So true. And how much better is it, though, for us to be there when those moments happen? And for those of us that have boys, we know we're lucky to hear about moments that don't happen in front of us, because there's just not a lot of conversation sometimes that happens with our young men. That's not necessarily the way they're wired. So what a privilege it is to sit and be able to see some of those moments kind of transpire right there in front of our faces. The other thing I would tell you too about this model is you've got to give yourself a good 6 to 8 weeks to get adjusted to this. It's whether you've homeschooled or this is something completely new. This is something you've not ever done before. So be patient with yourself, be patient with your student, be patient with what's going on around you. Give yourself a break. I know we were just talking a minute ago, someone said, you want me to, flip the screen for you, are you going to do it? And I'm like, control issues. I'm going to do it. Some of us have control issues. We'll find out all that good stuff about ourselves when we are with our kids. But the other thing I want to mention too is that if you have siblings at home, you're going to be blessed at the time that your kids have together. You're going to be blessed with the time that your kids have together, and they are too. In my house, my kids love one another. They get along with one another. I mean, they just really don't argue, and they miss one another when it's time to go. And I think a lot of that is not good parenting. I would love to take credit for it, but a lot of it is they've spent time together. They've watched each other's struggles. They've watched each other's successes. They're praying for one another. I talked to my oldest yesterday talking is text these days. So I texted my oldest yesterday. I'm like, hey, how did practice go? Did you survive? Yes. Was it hard? Was it better than you thought? Yeah. Help me out here. Well, so as we're getting ready to go to bed that night, I'm sitting next to my second one who got up, and I said, hey, just keep praying for your brother. I think practice was better. And he's like, yeah, this is what happened, this is what happened, this is what happened. Me and Travis are texting. I'm like, okay, I should be happy about that. It's great. I'm glad somebody knows what's going on with it. But the benefits of this model are biblical. I truly believe they are. God calls us to be, are anointed for our children, and you are. Please do not think you can't do this. Yes, you can. You were equipped the day you had that baby to be able to do this. So don't give up. Don't get frustrated. It's going to, some of it, especially elementary, I'm just going to brace you now. I feel like that's the hardest part because we say you're in the trenches. But just be patient is so, so, so incredibly worth it. You're going to be so glad you had the hard moments, the easy moments, all those moments. You're going to be so thankful that you had those moments with your kiddos. All right, I think I give up the mic now to Gina. Would you like me to work? I think it just stays there. Yep, no, it goes. You don't have control issues.
Okay, so now we'll learn how this all works. So I'm just going to cover Carline first, and then we'll go over some other things later. But I just want to I'm going to be really brief today. We'll go into a little more detail tomorrow, but I just want to show you how all of this is going to work. So there's Arrival is through, we have two entrances. Maybe you all are new and you may not know, but there is an entrance off of Co-Lane off of 1488, okay? That gate will only be open in the mornings and it will close at 8:30. So we do allow Arrival that way. If you don't know about it, I would just train yourself to use Research Forest. The thing I want to say about Co-Lane is that it's a strip of homes of people who are not used to a school being here and don't like the traffic on their quiet road. So if you do use co-lane, be very cautious of the speed limit. Just drive really slow and carefully, just to not, ruffle any feathers. If it continues and we have problems, we'll end up having to just permanently close it. So if you want, we'll start at Research Forest, which is the red. And what you're going to have to do is you're going to come in, and if you've noticed, right at the front office, you're going to have to come around and through, okay? And then come through the car line this way. So this is the gymnasium here, and this is the side of the gym, and this is where you'll be dropping your kiddos off. The reason we have to come around like this is Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, we have about 350 students, which probably is over 200 cars. So we just kind of do this so that you're not backed up on Research Forest. If you're coming from 2978 and you see it backed up, that lane is not a turning lane. So what you'll have to do is please go forward on Research and turn around so that you're back, you're able to be on the side of the school and get on the shoulder, okay? But same thing with co-lane. If you're coming in that way, you'll follow those arrows and you'll just meet in with the others coming in from Research, and then jointly go through the car line, and exit is only through Research. Don't cut back across and go out co-lane just because there's too many cars. Okay, everybody's got that? Arrival. So we do offer car line, which opens at 8 a.m. And it's going to be again on this side as you drive through. The doors will open at 8. We'll have staff members out there to receive your kids. Please do not drop them off if you've got a 8 o'clock meeting and you're like, okay, I'll just bring you at 7:45, and you just sit there till they open the door. Please don't do that. Wait till 8. Wait till the doors open. The way that it goes the fastest is we have staff members out there to receive your kids. So let us do the work. All you have to do is drive up, park, whatever, stop at least, but you can put your car in park. Just don't come, idling through, throwing them out. It's not a drop-off. We have people there that'll help your kids get their stuff out and whatnot. So it goes faster. Say your goodbyes as you get in, like we have had, oh, give me hugs and let's say our prayers and, all that in the car line, and that just doesn't work that well. We just need that line to keep going. At 8:30, as long as there's a line, we're going to keep the car line open. At 8:30, we're going to close the gym doors, okay? At that point, your kids are considered tardy, and you'll have to drive around and drop them off at the front office, okay? Middle and high schoolers will meet in the gym, and they'll have their own assembly in the gym. And elementary students will, both days, Monday, Wednesday, and Tuesday, Thursday, will meet here in the lunchroom. And they sit according to their class. Same thing with middle and high school. We'll kind of break them up into their grade levels, show them where to be. But we'll do prayer and pledge at 8:20. At 8:25, they're dismissed to classes. If you have an elementary child, the teachers come in and do the prayer and pledge with them, so they're with them, and then they dismiss. Middle and high school, we typically just dismiss them straight to their classes. First few weeks, teachers will probably come in there to kind of help with getting them to class. The difference on Tuesday, Thursday, so if you have an elementary Tuesday, Thursday, things are run a whole lot differently. We have probably 70 to 75 kids. We do share a little bit with juniors and seniors who come. They come about 9:30 in the morning until about lunchtime, but we rarely see them. So things are done a little differently, and this year, instead of dropping off in the gym, we're going to go ahead and just drop them off at the front office. So if you have a Tuesday, Thursday elementary, you'll do all of this the same, but instead of coming through here, you're just going to drop them off at the front, and we'll have people out there as well to receive them. And same thing, even though Miss Karen's there, please don't drop them off before 8, or that somebody's there for them. And then we'll have, until they go, we'll have people who are going to bring them to this lunchroom. I think that's all I have for now. And like I said, if you're late after 8:30, you'll need to check them in at the front and get a tardy slip. Okay.
I have a question.
Got it? Yes?
I have daughters who have an 8 a.m. class. Tuesday, Thursday, so they're,
So do they just get dropped? You said it opens at 8, but their class starts at 8.
Okay, well then they'll just drop.
that's a new thing that we,
Okay,
for
didn't
new
know that.
students. So yeah, they can be here as early, like a quarter till.
Okay.
And if you have,
security will be there, let them in, we'll work that out.
If you have juniors and seniors who drive, so they'll have designated parking spots, which will be covered with them of where, but their only entrance into the building is the front door. We have all these gates and things like that, but that is to remain locked. They try to get through, they end up getting through, but we try not to. We don't want to tell them to. We want all of them entering and leaving through the front. It's just safety and security. Yes.
If you have a high schooler who doesn't drive, but their class starts a little later, can you drop them off?
Yes, so if you're driving that junior, senior, or someone who has later, then yes, you can just come, because the only times that gym is open, that car line, is 8 to 8:30 and dismissal, 3 on.
Is there a way for them?
So that, are you talking about dropping them off for their 9:30 class? They need to be here about 9:15 is the earliest those high school kids can come in. They come in and they wait in the front office with Mrs. Beeman, but no earlier than that.
Okay.
There's
Yeah,
no
they'll
one here
wait.
to monitor them until then.
They'll wait there and she'll dismiss them when it's time. Are there any other questions about arrival?
I'm just so excited for all of you, and please, like Audra said, we have been here 6 years. I've been now through pre-K, through all of elementary, 4th grade with my students. So I'm very familiar with the curriculum and the co-teacher side of it, and I know what your home days will be like, so if you do have any questions, concerns, anything, please feel free to contact me. On our curriculum, so now I'm on school side of it, looking at our curriculum, reviewing it, choosing it. So I'm your person. If you have concerns about what we're using or things you see, please talk to me about that. Anything that we use, we do try to use a Christian curriculum for our first resource. If we do not, we will use a second resource that is Christian. But all of our curriculum that we use, Christian or not, every lesson is taught from a biblical perspective, and we have a list for elementary that by the time they leave elementary school and go to middle school, that we want them to hit all of and learn all of these biblical perspectives. So all the teachers teach from this, and you can see these. I believe these are online. Also, all of our curriculum that we choose supports our vision and our mission and our educational and curriculum philosophies and our legacy goals for learning. And our legacy goals for learning are also online if you want to see those. Those are just like communication skills, things that we want our students to know beyond state standards when they leave legacy. All of our curriculum that we choose, when we look at it, it goes through a 4-year review. So we'll use it for 3 years, and on the 4th year that we use our curriculum, we will go through a review process, and we'll look at everything. Are we aligned? When I say aligned, do we have holes anywhere? We align with, at a minimum, the state TEKS, the Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills. So your students are going to, at a minimum, they're going to learn exactly what every kid in the state of Texas is learning. But we don't like to just stay there. We like to go beyond it. So that's why we have our legacy goals for learning. That's why we have our biblical perspective tenets to go beyond that. So we will always look at to make sure the curriculum that we are using will support all of the standards that we want to hit. We will always send out parent surveys. So this year we will be reviewing math. So you won't experience the math for very long, probably before you get a survey, and that's okay. You can just say I'm a new parent, but tell us what you think about it. Last year we reviewed our science curriculum, and we used our parent surveys very heavily. Our parents, one of the common thing they said was that they didn't feel like that there was enough content support in science at home to prepare their students and engage with them. Well, that's one of our big curriculum philosophies at Legacy, is that we are going to give you support at home to engage with your students. And so we had over the years tried to put things in place to make that better, and even with those it wasn't working. So we changed curriculums. Science is new this year. We also were not using a Christian curriculum. So we are excited to, in elementary this year, be using BJU Science as our foundation, presenting from a biblical perspective. And so now, first grade through 10th grade will be using the same science curriculum. So we're excited about that. And very excited to be adding STEM Scopes Texas, which is science, technology, engineering, and math. There's a big push. Technology is big now. We want to make sure that we're building skills into our students in those areas. And there's so much content support at home for you. So your students in elementary will be using STEM Scopes at home. So hopefully that will help you engage more with them and prepare them more. And it's a phenomenal. I think putting the two together is going to be, I think, the best science program out there. So I'm very excited for it. And give us feedback and let us know it is going to be new. So tell your teachers, whoa, this is a lot of reading, or whoa, I don't like doing labs at home, or I love this program. Give us the positive feedback too. But we want to hear from you. Questions? Let me know.
So to just piggyback off of what Jennifer said, how this applies, there's a few changes in middle school, high school. We do EJU for science and history as well, and we are very excited about that. It's new for our middle school and upper school. It's just solid, and it's from a Christian perspective, which we're really excited about as teachers and as parents. I think this will be good for us as a school. As well, we do STEM Scopes, but not the same way as elementary. Ours are in class and they're teacher supplemented. So if you have a 5th through 12th grader, you won't have to do the labs and different things at home. That'll primarily be done in class. For math, as she said, this is the year we're reviewing it right now. Middle school switches. We don't use Saxon that they use in elementary school. We switched to Glencoe and some of the Mifflin stuff in the older grades. So you won't have Saxon past Math 500. We're actually in Math 500. It's not Saxon. And then our ELA, basically it builds on what's going on in 3rd and 4th grade. When you get to 5th, it switches, but the programs complement each other. So the switch that we made is we use what you will hear it referred to as IEW, which is the Institute for Excellence in Writing, but the IEW is how everyone uses that term around here. That's what you'll hear thrown around. And we use that for writing, and it's theme-based writing. We try to integrate that with history as much as we can. So you might see that they're coming home with a medieval writing lesson, which should coordinate with whatever history they're learning in that grade. That is a little bit of a tricky program. You could have questions on IEW. There's a lot of the mechanics of writing, and there's lots of labeling and new terminology. So if you have any questions about that, definitely ask your English teacher first. But if you need more of an explanation, you're welcome to email or call or find me, and I'll explain that a little bit better. We also use Fix-It Grammar in 5th grade through 12th grade, 11th grade, I think. I don't think we use it in 12th. And that also is IEW, and that's where we just take a story and it's messed up, and we fix all of the punctuation, grammatical clauses, and we walk them through that. It's not an in-depth grammar program. It's meant to just season you a little bit with some grammar in the upper grades, because it's primarily a lower grade thing. And so you might spend 5 minutes a day on grammar, which is kind of the goal. You're going to see that at home. Some of you probably are going to end up wanting to buy the teacher manual. I know a lot of parents do that because it's hard to walk through the grammar with the kids if you're checking their work at home. So you'll see that as well. We also have novel units in ELA, so your child will be reading 3 to 4 novels, and the teacher will, it's all teacher created there, the tests, the assignments on that. We have various electives, foreign language, French and Spanish. We also have what is called leadership. You probably saw it on your child's schedule. And this is like a discipleship-oriented Bible class, not an academic one. It's meant to come alongside of them, help them in their walk with the Lord. And they will be split up with their grade level. So if they're in 9th grade, there's a few sections of 9th grade. If they're in 5th grade, there's a few sections of that, whatever grade they're in. It's primarily on Fridays, unless you're in 5th grade. Then I think there's a Monday, Wednesday leadership class now as well. So those are, we see that as just vital to the curriculum. We want these kids to come in to the school, not only have a quality education, like Audra said earlier, but also the things that are really important. And what we want them to know is Jesus when they leave. And so we want to see where they are and come alongside of them. And you as parents, we're here to help you as well. You're raising a Christ-centered child. We want to be a part of that. We also have in 11th and 12th grade what's called dual credit. Some of your kids might be in that. I believe we offer between your 11th and 12th grade years 29 hours that you could walk out of here with and go into college. 29 college hours between the government, the history, the Englishes. That's what we want to do for your student as we prepare them for college at a university model school. So if you have any questions, also the textbook list, I put that together. So if you have questions about the textbooks for 5th through 12th grade, or you see an error on there where it's a new list, let me know. If you're looking on the Follett bookstore and you don't understand something, I'm happy to answer questions. I know Jen's happy to answer questions for the pre-K through 4. So.
I was just going to go over part of our spiritual and character growth with you this morning. We have monthly character traits that we focus on and discuss in all of our classrooms, and it's just intended to promote Christ-like character. We have all of those planned out for the whole year, but we always start with respect. That is kind of deemed our one school rule, that we respect the Lord, His Word, one another, our facilities, any objects, just respect in general. You can kind of roll any school rule underneath that. So we spend what little part of August we have together on that, and September. And then for the month of October, we have agreeableness this year. It would be nice if our children were all agreeable, right? For November, we have very appropriate timing for gratefulness. In December, we picked hope for this year, just thinking that Christ came, God gave us His Son, the hope of the world. So we picked hope for December this year. January, initiative. Again, a timely one, right? Where we're getting back in the scheme of things to take initiative and learn from even pre-K, kinder, first, second, how to take initiative and do things on your own. Any moms ever hoped for that around the house? Raising my hand. February, love. March is gentleness. April is purpose. Don't forget your purpose to finish strong. And May is success. And you will see these woven through memory verses in elementary. And speaking of, as we are watching these kiddos in the classrooms, teachers pass out character tickets for children who make really good choices in front of everyone else. And it's observed in the classroom, in the lunchroom, out on the playground, quoting scripture to Miss Cindy here or Gina on Tuesday, Thursdays. And if they earn 10 tickets, they earn a spot in a positive parade, positive, P-A-W-S, right, through the lines. And we do that once a semester, and they get to parade through in the whole school, and cheerleaders cheer and clap them on and praise them for their Christ-like character. So we will incorporate these character traits into memory verses and in the younger grades, and then we have posters and classroom discussions, middle school and high school. And they've already touched a lot on the biblical worldview, but that is our number one here. Yes, the academics are important. I understand it's a school. We all have our kids here, but the number one is the heart of your child. And so we teach everything through the lens that God created it, not here's the curriculum, let's try to find a couple verses to go alongside. So they honestly teach through, and then at home you'll see that on your lesson plans, that you'll just have those discussion questions and verses and biblical tenets you can pull from the lesson plans to communicate that with your children. And then we have several events all through the year that, again, pepper this in and teach your child from a biblical worldview. So elementary has chapel once a month, and it will incorporate that monthly character trait. And then Core Love is our charity for the year that we're going to be collecting chapel offerings on Monday, Wednesday, and Tuesday, Thursday. And then at the end of the year, they have a monthly match. And we've just given thousands of dollars to Core Love the last couple of years. And we have some families here who are heavily involved in that, and they'll come and speak. And it just really moves the heart of our kids to see children who don't have what our children have, and that they can pour and give back into them. Our middle schoolers have Revolution, and they get together as a grade level once a month, and again over the character traits. And our high schoolers have high school pronouncements on Friday mornings. Our Stuco ran that last year and have a beautiful time of worship, and some guest speakers and pastors come in. And if your kiddo is involved in playing an instrument, they are invited and welcome to come and speak to Mr. McDonald, and they can get involved in that.
Well, speaking of the heart of your child, I want to start with behavior highlights, because I know every one of you have memorized the family handbook by now. So if you have any questions about behavior, we don't preach perfection here. We take opportunities. If there is a behavior issue, we have proper steps that's in the handbook, and we do try to use it as a training tool with scripture and to guide your child into the right behavior. But we have very minimal behavior problems. But if something ever does arise, we all have mornings where we burn the toast and the dog throws up, and we have to take care of those issues. We just come into school with a bad mood. We try to train the child with scripture and lead them into godly behavior, and that's our goal. So just look at your family handbook. Be sure you know it. It's very clear on the dress code. Save yourself some time. Be sure they're following the dress code. So you don't have to drive back up here and put them in the proper uniform. We'll have many days where they'll have a dress down day, but you will be notified when those times are, so it'll be clear that you're wondering, well, is today, they told me it was a dress down day. Don't go by their word. always check on that. So I'm going to pick up where Gina left off. Once your children are delivered here in the cafeteria, I'll be here to greet them every morning. We'll do open assembly, and then your teachers will be here to greet them as well in the cafeteria. They get here at 8 o'clock, they start preparing their classrooms, and then at 8:15 they join me here in the cafeteria, and we go through prayer and whatever announcements need to be made that day, and then we escort them to their classroom so they know exactly where they're to go each moment of the day. They will take them to lunch. They'll pick them up from lunch. They'll take them to recess. They'll pick them up from recess. They will always be monitored, so you don't have anything to worry about, especially with our littles. Sometimes you think, how are they going to make it through the day? I promise you. We love them. I'm a Mimi. I love them already. Your children have been prayed for, and we monitor and make sure they're in good hands. And they'll go to lunch. They'll go to specials in the portables on Thursdays and Wednesdays. They'll go art and music, but they'll use the gym for PE. So that's how their classroom day will go. And your teacher will be there to guide them each step of the way, as I said.
I have a visual aid since she was talking about dress code. These are just a few examples of what the shirts may look like. We have pink for the girls too. If a guy wants to wear pink, hey, go ahead. I like to wear pink. So, but like you said, you can catch the rest of it. I thought about modeling these, but they didn't have my size. So, but this is kind of just an example of what those would look like. Okay. All right. Cell phones for middle school and high school. They are not allowed to be seen during the day. They can put them in their backpacks. Now, there will be some times that a teacher may tell them that, hey, we may use your cell phone in class to do something. They're allowed to do that then. We do allow the high schoolers at lunchtime to use their phone to check their text or whatever. We try to keep them.
It's the stream.
It's the stream. Yeah, they got to keep their stream going. So, but we do allow that. Chromebooks, which are the computers for 6th through 12th graders. If you have a sixth grader through 12th grader, they will be issued those. It'll be Thursday, right? With student orientation. We do have 2 different ways we monitor that with Hapara and also with GoGuardian. That allows us to monitor what sites they're visiting, that type of thing. But we do ask as the parents that you also be aware of that at home as well, especially in today's world. Social media, just make sure your kids, when they're on social media, are not portraying a negative thing about our school or saying anything negative about a teacher or Coach McDonald gave me a detention today, I don't like him, that type of thing. So just make sure you're monitoring that as well, please. Behavior, we have a new demerit system this year that we're implementing that'll help us to keep track of behavior better, and that's also in the handbook. We have different levels of demerits. The minor ones you'll get, for dress code, using your phone in class, that type of thing, and it just builds up. And you can see that in the handbook how that adds up for the year as well. Okay. And then one last thing, high schoolers, we do ask them to use the restrooms upstairs, so we don't come downstairs with the younger kids. And then also out in the portables, there are restrooms for the middle schoolers as well there. Okay. All right. Thank you.
lunches, recess, and I'll do a little bit of Friday lectures, but I'll pretty much cover that tomorrow for your elementary. So lunches. I'm gonna ask for the first 2 weeks. We welcome you to join your kiddos. That's totally fine. But I'm gonna ask for the first 2 weeks to allow our staff to establish the rules and whatnot. It's so much easier when it's just them and us. You know, to learn the class system, how that works. They have 20 minutes for lunch, 20 minutes for recess. So that's basically 15 minutes to eat, 5 minutes to help clean up, get organized, and to get outside. So, but after those 2 weeks, we welcome you. If you want to join them for lunch, that's fine. Elementary is much easier. I'll tell you, as the grade levels get higher, there's not much room. So you'd likely have a standing lunch if you want to go see them. We are a no peanut butter campus due to some highly allergic children. We have some with anaphylactic, and we've got EpiPens on campus, never had to use one, and don't want to. And so it's best just to be no peanut butter, because even if it's not someone in your child's grade, even if that peanut butter got on the table and that child later comes and touches it, they're going to have a reaction. So, you know, check, monitor. If you buy those prepackaged lunch, sometimes there's Reese's peanut butter cups in them. Sometimes there's things with peanut butter in it. So monitor those. You kind of forget about that. It's easy when you're packing your lunch to do it. We do allow almond butter for your, you know, if you have a peanut butter type child that wants it, they can do that. I know last year there was an issue with it in one grade level, and I'm not aware that's still an issue. So until I'm told, almond butter is a fine alternative.
Sunflower seed.
Yes, I think anything other than peanut butter is okay. Yeah. Yes.
Is it just no peanut butter, or is it no peanut products, so?
Basically no peanut products, yeah. Okay, I'm gonna ask for no microwave foods across the board. High school, if they want to, they can do it themselves. But here's what I wanna tell you. Elementary, no, we don't have the time, and we just can't do it. We need to be helping the kids. Middle school, we allowed last year, but we have nearly 40 kids in each of those rooms with there was 1 or 2 microwaves. When you think of one macaroni and cheese takes 3.5 minutes, and there's 40 kids, there's a line, and they end up not eating. So save the macaroni cups for your Tuesday, Thursday, and send them with a sandwich, or use a thermos or something. But if both microwaves are running at the same time, they trip a breaker, and so it's just a mess. It really is. And so I would say, and even your high schooler, 8th through 10th grade, there's over 100 kids. Not even quite sure where we're going to sit them all. But again, if you send them with something to microwave, they likely won't eat. And so it's just going to be best if we just say no microwave foods. For your Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we lunch pre-K, kinder, 1st and 2nd, I believe, together, and then 3rd, 4th, and 5th are together. 6th and 7th are out in the portables. 8th through 10th are here in the lunchroom. 11th, seniors and juniors, they get out and they usually leave campus. I was looking at numbers while we were sitting here talking, and there's a good 40 in each of the ones outside. But anyway, we do have vending machines for sodas, but that's only for high school. I don't think this one's going to make it through the year, but for now we have this one that the kids are welcome to. But I'll tell you, we treat them kind of like our own, especially if they're elementary, when we make sure that they eat their lunch before they're allowed to go get it. And I'll tell you too, that they will find change in your sofas, sometimes in your purses. I had a little girl, no kidding, came to school with a $100 bill and asked for change because she was buying fruit snacks for all of her friends. I am not kidding. It came out of her mother's purse. So recess. We think they all need to get outside. They have 20 minutes. Our elementary through 5th grade will be recessing in our playground. And all of these, lunch and recess, are fully staffed with support staff, administrators, teachers. Again, when you come, you're welcome to join in. We don't always turn a responsibility over to a parent because it's at those times that that's where the kids are going to push the buttons. You know, they know the rules, so we try to keep the same faces with them all the time. But we love having extra help, so if you ever want to, that's great. So they have the 6th and 7th graders, there's a grassy area, either they'll use in the playground or right behind the playground. And then 8th and the high schoolers, 8th grade and the high schoolers, they kind of have multiple hangout sessions. Some of them like to just take the whole time and eat in here, and we allow them to. They might want to just sit and kind of cram for that test or something in the gym, which they can do, or they can go outside, throw football, walk, whatever they want to. So we have all of that staffed with people for them as well, so they get their 20 minutes. As far as dismissal, we are excited, and we might be having a new barcoding system this year. So you're all going to be getting a car rider sign that I think that'll be in your folders for tomorrow and Wednesday when you come. And it's a car rider sign that's going to have your child's name on it that we need visible whenever you pick your kid up. I would recommend maybe getting one of those pant clothes hangers, clip your card on it, and hang it on your rearview mirror so that it's easy to see. If we get this barcoding system in place before school starts, we're going to issue you each a barcode for your child. And what'll happen with that is instead of texting your name like we do currently, we're going to just click the barcode. So hopefully that'll work. We're going to use the screen in the gym for Monday, Wednesday, Friday dismissal so they can see their names come up. Tuesday, Thursday, they stay in their classrooms and we just call their names. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, campus dismisses at 3:15. That's when you'll start picking up your child. Tuesday, Thursday is at 3 o'clock. The dismissal route, so as I said, we closed Coe Lane, so that's going to be closed for dismissal. So dismissal is only on Research Forest. You're going to come in, do your same loop, pick up by the gym, and exit Research Forest. Dismissal, believe it or not, people start lining up here 2 o'clock, 2:15, something like that. So this line can get really backed up really easily. And so again, remember that if it will get backed up all the way starting from the entrance from Research Forest all the way to here before we start dismissing. Okay, so if you are out on Research waiting, remember that there's not a lane. If you're coming from 2978, there's not a lane for you to wait. You have to go around and then get on the shoulder of the road. Okay. Hopefully, once we get things rolling, it'll happen a lot faster. But the first few weeks, believe it or not, the little kids, especially dismissing, we'll call their name, and they're embarrassed or they don't really
know their last name.
They don't. We used to do their last name, and they were like, "Isn't that you?" We have some real funny stories. Or they're looking around like, "I think that's my name, but I don't want to get up." So it's a school effort. Y'all are laughing, but it's funny. It's true. It's true story. If you have a high schooler who is driving, then they will go out, just like they enter through the front door, they're going to go out the front door as well. They'll check out through Miss Beeman. They'll go out to their cars and leave. And you said something about a sibling. And then we'll start getting names, usually right before 3 o'clock, and then we'll start dismissal. Tuesday, Thursday. Again, it's a little different. We're much smaller. Your pickup is here. So when you arrive, you'll just start lining your car that will have stations of 4 out front in the front office, and here there's stations of at least 8. And so you'll see those numbers as you drive up. Again, just stay in your car. We have people that are there to help load your backpacks and all of that stuff. And we also ask, just please don't get on your cell phones during car lines. There's so many kids Some cars will pick up, I mean, I've seen,
6 or 8.
where is she? Jennifer's not here.
She's not here,
I
so
mean-
you can run her out.
I mean, you know, if they're in
Jennifer's afraid
sports
you
or
can put a lot of
friends,
people
they're
in
picking up 4 and 5 and 6 kids, as many seats as those Suburbans fit. There are children jumping in there, and sometimes more. But you know, so just when you're on your cell phone, you're distracted. Some people don't realize their car could still be rolling. A kid's coming around the back. So you know, it's just not a place for cell phones, and that's for security of the kiddos. Once we finish loading, which sometimes takes, Tuesday, Thursday, we're probably 20 minutes or so. The other days can run, we're probably close to 40 minutes at first, you know, but then we'll get it down and it'll go faster, about 30 minutes. But once we have loaded the last car and there's still kids in the gym and there's no cars coming, we're gonna again close those doors. So at that point, you're late picking your kid up. We'll bring all of those to the front desk, and that's where, so if you just come around, doors are closed, then you'll swing back around and pick them up at the front office.
What time do you close the doors? Is there a
It's not really, it's once we're done. And I mean, that gives you a good 30 minutes, yeah. So it gives you a good 30 minutes, you know, even if you're coming on the latter end of it, but, because usually it takes longer than that, but just until we're done. So,
Can I ask you a quick question? I know it might seem obvious in our other school, they don't do this, but do you buckle them in their car seats? Are they little bitties?
well, it all depends, again. A lot of times on Tuesday, Thursday, when we're dealing with just elementary, a lot of times it does. Sometimes what the moms will do is on both situations, let's say they load their car, because we really don't have a lot of time. If it's a quick buckle, then we can. But what moms will do kind of is pull up and pull their car over to the side and then finish kind of buckling their kids in. Same thing on a Tuesday, Thursday, if they're unbuckled, you can kind of just pull your car up and out of the way over to the side here and buckle before you leave out.
So we do our old schools.
Yeah.
Can you tell them that's okay?
Yes,
Yeah, and another thing is, you know, sometimes car 1 and 2, maybe a kid's coming late or something, or you have a child that needs to be buckled. When your kid is in, don't move until that whole line moves. Again, we don't know why those other cars might be sitting there. It might be a kid coming late. They're going to come running out of the gym, come around, and then you're going to pass. And so unless you're directed by someone, because usually when I direct people, I'm kind of standing like this, going, okay, you know, unless you're directed by someone who is watching you, don't pass the cars in front of you. Again, it's just secure. There's way too many kids coming in and out.
It also messes up the order. The names come into us in order, and we line the kids up in advance in groups of 8 to 10. So when you pass and go around, you cut a number out. And so then when we get out there and there's confusion, it just keeps the line backed up
Yeah, and a
longer.
lot of times.
Then probably after 2 weeks, even our middle school and high school section, we'll get you out of here in about 25 minutes. It's very efficient once the kids know what they're doing and we
Yeah.
know their names
And we
you know.
start early, you know, like I said, we start really early with
yeah.
it, so we've got the first so many lists going, and we pulled those kids in, but they each get a number. You're, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. When we send that group out, they go to a cone out there, so it's all numbered, and all you're gonna do is, if you're in that, you know, let's say we're lining up 8 and you're the next car, well then when those leave, you just go all the way up to number 1. And then 8 cars are going to be behind you. Your kids, miraculously, are going to be standing at that cone. Some people are like, how did y'all do that? That's how we do it. It's a pre-texting situation, and we have them lined up. Yes.
So the high schoolers, they would be going out the front entrance, correct?
If they're driving. If they're a driver, yes.
And if they're, okay, 'cause mine gets his license like.
Okay.
Start, so for those 2 weeks, he'll be in the gym.
Yes. If the child is being picked up by someone, the dismissal is in the gym.
Okay,
If they are driving or anything like that, they will go out the front.
okay.
But not on Tuesday, Thursdays for juniors and seniors if you're picking them up and dropping them off. Because most of them are here at 9:30 to 12:30. That's at under the porte cochere in the front. Now we've added an 8 o'clock class, so you can drop off under the porte cochere at about 7:45 for those 8 o'clock Tuesday, Thursday kids. Pick up at 12:30 under the porte cochere. Okay.
Okay. That's about, I know we're kind of late on.
Why don't we come back at 10:20?
Okay, you want to break down? Because I can do Friday electives tomorrow. Okay. Is there any other questions on that? Yeah, sorry.
You mentioned the anti-tax days and stuff. Is
Yeah.
that something that we have to do?
No.
Or you guys-
No, you just have to have your card, So your card will either give us the name, and then if we have the barcoding system in place, you'll be getting a barcode to put on that thing. So all you need to do is show the person coming around your card. Either she'll text the name or she'll scan the barcode. So that's all y'all
The
need
other
to
things
do.
to remember too, if you're picking up a student that is not yours, one, you need to make sure that you've cleared that with the front desk, and two, the person that is doing the texting, what we do is we walk alongside your car and we type in Smith, Jones, May, Dunn. If you're picking up another student, you need to tell us. So if you're picking up Smith, Jones, and May, you just say, I'm picking up all three of them, because all three of those kids need to come out to the curb so that you can pick them up. So let us know if there's more than one name that's going to be in the back of your car. We get all of them out. Otherwise, you'll have to pull up and wait for us to go find those kids.
And the other thing is, and I know Legacy's different. I mean, it's very small. We'll get to know you. We'll get to know probably the grandparent or someone like that, but we'll know your faces. But these cards, so if you have someone, a neighbor, a grandparent, or something who'll be picking up your child, make sure they have a card. Because a car can't come through without your child's card and say, oh, I'm picking up so-and-so, and we're like, no, you're not. You know, that person, if they don't have a card to go through Carline, has to go through the front desk, and we have to make sure that either you've called or they're on your emergency card, okay? So anybody going through Carline must have a car rider.
So most of you have experienced, a school day where your child is in school. The key to being successful at Legacy is managing the day at home. We've given you an idea of what's going to happen on campus when your child is here. Now we want to prep you for what it's going to be like at home. And honestly, it'd be really hard for us to do that because we don't know what your day is going to be like at home, right? But we're going to try and give you some idea. The first thing to know is what we talked about earlier. We're more about God's work than homework. So start your day that way. Start your day in prayer. Fill yourself up. And then just remember what's the main thing, right? The main thing is not the math, not the English. Yes, those things are important, but love is lesson 1. And so every year we start off by sort of setting that stage and setting that expectation. And I read my little Love is Lesson 1 letter that was written by one of the founders of University Model Schooling over 25 years ago. And I think it's still appropriate. So I just want to read that to you this morning as we start talking about the home day. It's been simply yet wisely stated that the main thing is to keep the main thing the main thing. When it comes to teaching children, education of itself is actually not the main thing, though it is an incredibly powerful context for demonstrating it. Neither is success the main thing, nor even happiness. Even teaching religious faithfulness and personal spiritual devotion falls short in their qualifications. But in Matthew 22:34-40, when the expert in the law asked Jesus which commandment was the greatest, Jesus answered with Deuteronomy 6:5, which says, love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength. Jesus made it clear that the greatest commandment of all was that we love God. He then identified the next greatest command, which is inseparable from the first, and that is that we love one another as we love ourselves. The one who loves demonstrates that he knows God. God is love, so when true love is present, God lives in the middle of it, and his love covers a multitude of sins. But if love is not present, then even if a person speaks with angelic tongues, understands all of life's mysteries, has faith to move mountains, gives away all he has to the poor, and offers himself up to suffer a martyr's death, it all adds up to a big fat 0 on his final exam. Loving God is the main thing. True Through it, even the most devastating loss can be turned into something profitable. But apart from it, even the most incredible gain is headed for bankruptcy. Loving God is lesson 1. In fact, immediately after God gives us the great command, he instructs the teaching of it as top priority. And this is what University Model Schooling is based off of, Deuteronomy 6. And these words shall be on your heart, and you shall teach them diligently to your children. You shall talk of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up. What an all-encompassing exhortation. For children to grasp the main thing, they need far more than just information about it through lectures, reading books, or writing papers. True love is beyond comprehension. Children must learn about loving God through certain well-directed activities. But to learn love itself, they need more. They need experiences. Love is caught more than taught. Children learn to love by being loved. Even if they're not fortunate enough to have parents who love God, their lives can be powerfully transformed the moment they awaken to the awareness that they are right now being loved by Heavenly Father, who is actively pursuing a real and living relationship with them. How much more then will children learn to love God when their parents purpose to keep the main thing in their homes every single day? This is why Legacy exists, to give you more time to teach lesson 1 to your children in the way God intended, in the safety, daily relationship with you. Learn as much practical information as you can through this training today, but stay focused on what it's all about. This is not just schooling. This is about loving God with all your heart and investing that love into the treasure chest of your children's memories. And as you do, rest assured that your Father in heaven is faithful to empower what he has purposed. Every step of your obedience to him will be met with his enabling grace. So now go with joy into your life's greatest work. So just a right setting of what your day is supposed to be like at home. And it won't always sound and look like this letter just did. You're going to have tough days ahead where your kid doesn't want to do what they're supposed to do and the information is hard. But the main thing is that you show them the love of God and they see that through you. That's the main thing. So with that, I will turn it over to Christy, I think.
So to figure out what you're going to be doing on these home days, you need to know how to log in to get your lesson plan and see a live grade book that's ready at your fingertips 24 hours a day. We use a system called Praxi Power. It's your portal to hot lunch orders, your grades, your lesson plans, a calendar that's school-wide, academic announcements. It's pretty daily, I guess, around the house. So I just wanted to show you some screenshots of what that looks like. You can get to Praxi by going to praxipower.com or just through our website, which is legacypca.org, if you've not been there yet. This is what the parent portal login screen looks like. Our school ID is 2000. That's the last 4 digits of our phone number if you need a mnemonic like me to remember things. Yes, 2000. I was saying maybe it would auto-populate, but it doesn't. I have to type it in every time. And then you have a unique parent ID, unique to you if you do not have that yet. Here is Jeannie Reitfeldt's email address. You can email her to get that. I will leave it up there for a minute with her beautiful last name. I still have to peek sometimes. It's I4E. So you'll type in the school ID of 2000, your parent ID, and then your password, and then you just click log in, and this splash page will pop up.
If anybody needs it today, I can get it to them.
Oh, did you hear that? Cheryl Walls to the rescue, right over here. Green legacy lanyard. Okay. This is the splash page you'll see when you log in. So right now there's nothing because there's nothing to see yet. But if you click under classes, which is fairly logical, I think it's fairly user-friendly in that regard. You think, I'm looking for my child's lesson plans, it's going to be under classes, right? So you click on classes, drop-down box, you'll click on homework. And then if you have more than one child here, where this red arrow is, it'll pull up each of your children's names. If you just have one, the one name will be there. You have to set the date that you want to look at. Hopefully it will auto-default to the current week that we're in, but don't hold your breath. So if we're looking for the first week of school's lesson plans, you will have access to them by 5 o'clock p.m. for that week. So don't print anything before Sunday at 5. Our teachers are able to edit and change things until that deadline. So after 5 o'clock on Sunday, you can log in here, set your date, first week of school, you're gonna put August 21 through August 25. Once you've typed that date in at the top, click on your child's name that you're wanting to look at, and they pop up like this. And then all you have to do is click the print button where the red arrow is there. Fairly user-friendly, I think. Classes, homework, date range, which kid you want to print for, print. And you can go back and print your subsequent children if you have more than one. Any questions about that? Easy peasy. We could give you a little tip here that just popped into my mind. Thank you, Lori. I have more than one. I have 3. And it's nice sometimes if I just want to see Tuesday's work, because we're Monday, Wednesday, Friday. If I just want to see Tuesdays on that date range, you can put for the first week of school, August 22nd to August 22nd, and only print Tuesdays, and then complete all of that work. And then Thursday, you can print Thursdays. That way, if you don't want to see everything at one time. That's just a personal preference, and you'll figure out which way works the best for you. Okay, if you want to see their grades, you have live access. So the moment our teachers enter their grades, which they're really good about doing in a timely manner, you can log in 24 hours a day, and as soon as they input it, it pops up on your screen. You'll have a constant average, a constant grade book right at your fingertips. So we do progress reports and report cards, of course, but nothing should be a surprise to you because you've had access to that 24/7 every single day. So if I were you, and I am a parent, I log in on a regular basis. I also, just because I have fat-fingered mistakes before too on a key, I take their graded work out of their folder that comes home and I just kind of check it against, and if there's any discrepancy, then you can send a quick, friendly email and say, hey, I screenshot it sometimes, take a picture of it and say, hey, I saw this grade come home, it's different in the grade book. Can we get that corrected? And then you can file your papers away. But you have that, so nothing should be a surprise come progress report or report card time. To get to grades, you go back to classes, and instead of clicking on homework on the drop-down box, you click on grades. And they magically pop up here. It defaults to quarter 1 for the school year. If it's quarter 2, you just might want to double check, make sure it's quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4. There's nothing there to show right now because nothing is entered. Any questions about Praxis? Okay, again, Cheryl volunteered to help you get a login today if you don't have one.
I'll add to Praxis really quick. For middle school and high schoolers, 6th grade through 12th grade have their Chromebooks. It's really hard for them to print from the Chromebook to computers at home. So you need to probably pull it up on your home computer and then print it out for them. Or they can do that. I mean, we have a family computer that we use to print ours out. So just FYI, don't spend too much time trying to print from that Chromebook. We have them locked down, so if you have wireless printing in your home, it's hard to, just don't waste a lot of time on that. Just pull it up on yours. But they can have their printout with them, their virtual, on their portal, their student portal all the time, so they always know what their assignments are.
For elementary co-teachers, this is your assignment designation. You'll see on some of your grades, there'll be in parentheses GP. What is a GP grade? And in your handbook, you'll find this again if you need to go back and say, what does this mean on my lesson plans? It says GP. It's guided practice. And these are your expectations as a co-teacher. I'm not going to go through and read all those because it is in the family handbook, but you are guiding your child through that assignment. If you see an assignment with an I, that means that your child is to complete it independently. That's an independent assignment with very little assistance. And then your child will also have something that's in parentheses with a T/P, that's test projects. These tests can come home in a sealed envelope. They're to complete it, just like keeping the testing atmosphere secure. Be sure that they do it by the directions in the lesson plans. Okay, so as an elementary co-teacher, your role is to receive instructions from the classroom teacher, outlining homework assignments, following up studies over covered material, and preparation or review needed for the next class. You're responsible for direct instruction in some aspects of the course, such as spelling. Parents monitor their child's academic progress, including the timely submission of all assignments. So that's what we expect from you as the co-teacher. This is what your lesson plans will look like. They should all look the same. You'll see it has a nice little line to check off as you complete each thing, and you see right there, number 1 is an I for independent. So they're going to do their handwriting independently. You'll see number 2 is GP, that goes back to your role as guiding through that practice with them, doing a spelling pre-test, and then TP, test project for grammar. And then if the teacher has any additional instructions, they'll usually put it in this area here for the co-teacher, and then reminding you of things that are in the folder. Here's your biblical integration, some reminders. This is how math looks as well. More reminders, and it gives you the biblical integration so that that you can also incorporate that at home.
Good morning, everybody. How are you? Good morning. Okay, so really, our lesson plans look, where am I pointing to? Our lesson plans are looking exactly the same. And we still have guided practice, independent work, and test projects. Now, you have to understand when I'm talking about kids from 5th all the way to seniors in high school. So some things won't always apply to your age group, but they're basically all the same. Co-teacher roles, once again, parents receive instructions from the classroom. Teachers outline everything that you're supposed to do. Parents are responsible for direct instruction. We still have direct instruction at these ages. 10th and 11th grade, no. And a lot of 9th and 10th, no, but there are some. Parent monitoring their child's academic progress. That means we need you to be in Praxis, seeing what's on there. If you're allowing them to print out their lesson plan for the week, I really want you to go to it and see, because you're going to see when their tests are. You're going to see if maybe you thought a test was going to be on one day and the teacher has changed it. You want to make sure you see all those changes on that. And just good information to see where your kids are, and if they go, oh yeah, I'm done, you're like, no way, you had 4 assignments to do in math, you are not done, because you know your kid. So make sure they're not pulling one over you. They all do it. Okay. Guide for dependent study. Usually these students from 7th to 10th grade still need a little bit more guidance. But I will tell you, my 7th grader from last year, I was super surprised. It was her first year here. With her, weekly printout, she would have it there. She would check off as she would go. And she took her time. It took her a little bit longer because she's pretty methodical about things, or maybe it takes her longer. But she did it by herself. I would go over and check on her, but the instructions are easy for the student to read. That's the purpose. It's for those students to become more independent. Over that. Juniors and seniors, you're going to know their progress more so when you look at their grades. If you don't see grades or you see zeros in there, try to let them be more independent, but you may have that student that you still need to stay on top of, and that's okay. They're going to learn from this, and they're going to know that sometimes mom and dad aren't going to be there for them to, stay on top of them to get an assignment done. Guide for dependent student continues. Just teachers are dependent upon parents to make certain their children keep up with the course. You might need tutoring. So most of us are either science, math minded, or language arts minded. Okay. So if your student needs a little bit more help in math, look for a tutor. Email me. We can find someone for you and match up tutors for you. We do have this wonderful man who comes, and I don't know his schedule for this year yet, Mr. Snow, and he tutors for free. And we did not have a lot of people that took advantage of that last year and was in the email every week. He's mainly 5th through 8th grade, but he has helped some 9th graders. But that's a big group of kids there's always a need for a little bit extra. He came on Tuesdays. He came on Thursday mornings and he was here on Wednesday afternoons. And the funny thing is, we also had a lady, and she will be back this year. So we had Mr. Frost and Mrs. Snow. No joke. So Mrs. Snow also had contacted us at the beginning of last year. She was a retired teacher. Once you're a teacher, always a teacher. And her kids are grown and gone from home, and she just wanted to get back to her community. And I'm like, yes, what a blessing. And she is wonderful. So those older kids with writing assignments that needed to turn in paper, she would go back and proof it with them. Or if they were just having trouble getting started, even though they had all of their guidance with their, their lesson plans and all of that, they just couldn't get going. So she really helped those students. So please let me know if, don't let anybody get behind. That's my biggest thing. Just keep them on target, on track, and if you need some help, let me know. So I already went over this. So our courses for high school really do mimic those of a junior community college. So I think Audra said my daughter was here 2 years ago. She graduated, and so her freshman year last year, she had no trouble whatsoever with scheduling or time limits or lines or I can't even talk this morning. Things that she needed for her classroom, her supplies, she was on it. She was on it. And it helped because that way her mind was organized schedule-wise, and she was able to study more, like settle down and study. When you see for the week what your syllabus is, what your guided practice is, you know what's expected of you, you can relax a little bit because there's not as much guessing. And that's what I think the biggest thing, especially coming from public school, I think sometimes there's a lot of gap with communication with parents and teachers. We don't have that here. Communicate, emails, please, please, please email. If you don't understand, email. And just having that syllabus to look at so they know how to plan for their week, because all of them have other activities, and we want those activities for those kids so they can be, able to do multiple things at one time, okay? Now, of course, if those things are getting in the way, then we need to stop and readjust and see what their study schedule looks like, okay? Okay, so there are some classes that might need your help, what your beliefs are in your home. You might want to look at if they're taking health. Okay, let's look at the sex ed part of that. What are we talking about? How in depth does it go? What do you want to tell your student before the teacher tells your student or their neighbor in their class? Okay, so be familiar with their topics and their conversations that they're having in their classrooms. Okay. We want you to interact, and this model helps us to interact more so with our students because they have to depend on us for some of their assignments, okay? Also, very, very few times does this happen, but middle school sometimes, and high school a little bit more, a take-home test will go home, and it's in an envelope, and it's signed by the teacher on the back, and then you're supposed to return it and seal it and sign over the label. We try not to do things, but sometimes, it just has to happen. So you are to monitor them for that test. Okay, you'll see in the on your lesson plan to be expecting that to come home. Okay, so this is an example of like 7th grade English, and just like the elementary, there's points. Point 1, point 2. The student is going to read through that. The parent, in the beginning, you all need to read this with them. And then as they complete it, check it off. And I know that seems so silly, but it works, okay? And they're going to get into a groove, even 5th and 6th graders. They're going to get into a groove if you're consistent in your home, because we are consistent here. They're going to get in the habit of knowing exactly what to do, and then you're going to go in and check on them like, I already did number 1, here it is, and just praise them because they, good job for being independent and being an independent worker. Okay, instructions for the co-teacher. We may send home a whole packet of things, but we may not want them to do that whole packet, only the ones that have been assigned. So make sure that you read with them So they're not sitting there twice as long doing math problems if they didn't need to complete all of those. The biblical integration is a beautiful part of our lesson plans. And like Audra said earlier, it all started with God. Everything is His creation. Math is His creation, science is His creation, language arts, our electives, our foreign languages. So it is beautiful the way that the teachers are able to put that into their lesson. Talk to your kids about that at home. Bring it up. Ask them what's going on. You'll be surprised at what they will want to start talking to you about. And it's such a different atmosphere than maybe some of you are used to. It was for me. You know, grown up in church, been to church, my kids have grown up in church, I teach Sunday school, been to camp. You know, I got this. But last year, doing Bob Jones Science with her opened up a whole new world for me. And it was exciting. And the questions that the teachers are able to ask here versus in public school, you're just going to see a change in your kid, okay? You will. And it is a great change, and it's amazing. That's all I can say. But same thing with algebra. I won't cry about algebra. But you'll see the same thing. Even the upper level classes are going to have, you know, your number 1, your number 2. Those are guided practice, so they want you helping them. But our teachers here, our policies are different. They are expected on Tuesday and Thursday to be there for your family, to ask questions and do things. So please do not get overwhelmed. Let's go day by day, okay? We will go day by day together. Okay.
Always remember, if you have any questions, go to the family handbook, because it has your answers. Because I know you didn't memorize the whole family handbook, but go to it. How do you work with your teacher? You know, we really believe that together we can fulfill our vision and our motto, here I am, send me. And it takes a team. So when you contact your teacher, remember that she has multiple tasks. We have some of our elementary teachers that are teaching 4 days in a row. So she will get back to you when she can answer your emails, but they've all been doing it for a while, so they're very good at communicating with you. So be courteous, you know, when you're emailing your teacher about questions. One way to do that is be specific. In other words, don't say, well, I don't understand math today. They came home and said they didn't understand anything they did yesterday. Well, that's probably not real accurate. They're going to understand some things. Some things they may need to be have some guidance on your part. So just be specific when you're emailing that teacher. So you will say, you know, we're having trouble with number 5 on lesson 5C. Say the lesson, say the problem. Jake colored 3 of the apples in red as his answer. Is he doing this part correctly? And that will give the teacher enough information that she can get back with you and tell you what she observed in the classroom, and maybe there needs to be more intervention or reteaching at that point. Workload surveys, we send out one in the fall and one in the spring. So we don't tell our teachers when we're doing it because we don't want them to adjust anything. We want real feedback from you about how your home days are looking, because we really do, like Jennifer said, we look at those surveys. So please don't dismiss a survey when you see it. The only way we get better is when you respond and we follow what you're telling us at home of what your days are looking like. So the workload surveys are going to come home in the fall and the spring. The teachers will be given the data, and you're going to be asked to note times in Praxis for the completion grade, so you can get like a free homework. Each one's a little bit different.
Okay, so a quick schedule overview for the next couple of days. Well, looky there. If you can't see it, it's August 15th and 16th. So tomorrow and Wednesday, we have 2 more days of co-teacher training. Tomorrow is elementary aged children families. Okay, if you're both, we're going to go over the schedule, what you do if you have both. Wednesday is middle school and high school. So in the morning, you're going to bring all of your supplies and curriculum with you. Tomorrow if you're elementary, Wednesday if you're middle school, high school. Our student council Last year we tried this and it was awesome. You have these reams of paper to bring in, right? They're super heavy. So instead of having to make multiple trips to your car to bring everything in, if you'll pull around that map that Gina went over with you earlier in the car rider line formation out here or right outside the gym, student council will be there to unload all your reams of paper for you and check off your family name for accountability. Then you can go and park and bring in the smaller load of things that you'll need. This room is going to magically transform when we get back from lunch today. And there will be for tomorrow tables with every single teacher's face in here from pre-K all the way up through 4th grade. And the tables will be labeled with an envelope and your child's name. And you'll just bring everything up to your teacher. Grade level signs will be on the wall. You'll drop off your supplies, the curriculum that they've asked you to bring in. How do I know what that is? That Follett website that you had to go to purchase books. If you haven't done that yet, you can stop any of us and we'll help you figure that out today before you leave. Some of them needed to have the binding cut off before you bring it in tomorrow, so check on that. It's on that Follett website.
Middle school and high school, they do not have any curriculum that needs to come with you to
Right,
orientation.
okay.
Okay? Just wanted,
I know you're into that. That's Wednesday. I'm talking about tomorrow.
okay, sorry, I can see faces.
I know, sorry, yeah. I was just talking about tomorrow. So elementary, everything will be in here for tomorrow. You'll bring in curriculum supplies. If it's a general item that wasn't specific to your grade level and it was notated on your school supply list, those tubs will be in the gym. Paper towels, Clorox wipes, dry erase markers, there'll be a tub in the gym. And that's where our training will be tomorrow, by the way, is in the gym. So in the morning, you'll bring everything labeled with your child's name, drop off your ream of papers in the car rider line, and then come in the front. You will not need to scan your license again in the morning. Yay! You're just going to get a name tag, get your child's car rider line and your child's schedule will be paper clipped together. And we have some ladies up there by alphabet, last name. You'll pick up your child's schedule, drop off your things, and go sit in the gym. Some grade levels, you're supposed to bring a check in for curriculum that we bulk purchased to save you money. So if we've done that ahead of time, thank you. 1st through 4th grade tomorrow. Then you'll just bring your check with your curriculum. Again, it's notated on your grade level on that Follett website. Any questions so far about that?
And
Yes,
Christy,
ma'am.
For the reams of paper, if we have different age children, middle school or high school, can we bring all of those tomorrow or just?
Absolutely.
all of them?
Yeah, just bring everybody and they'll check your family's name off and you'll be done.
and
Yes,
Christy, the teachers for elementary did email each parent, so if you did not receive an email from your teacher letting you know exactly what to bring also, let us know. Who should, Karen? Is that who they say that their email is not in Praxis? If they did not receive an email?
If your registration is not complete, you would not have received the email because you're not set up in Praxis yet, so could be the reason.
One of us.
Okay.
Karen,
Karen.
one overwhelmed. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
The reams of paper, is that just the copy paper?
Yes.
Like they also have cardstock on there?
You can bring it all of the
Okay.
paper together.
Okay.
But if you're paper, you just need like all the stuff you ordered from Follett, right?
So each
Copy
child
paper.
had to bring in, what was it, 3, it varies each year, so that's why I don't know, 3 packages of copy paper. So a ream of paper is like
We bought some of you guys supplies, so we can there.
Yeah, so if you bought EPI, this is just for those who pulled the list and bought the stuff on their own. Right.
So you purchase from
So that's why if you did
EPI.
EPI, you're gonna get a package tomorrow, you're gonna pick that up. And it's not in the gym, Christy. EPI was delivered to that classroom, so we'll direct them to 111.
Okay, if you ordered EPI supplies and you did not just print off a list and head to the store with all the rest of us crazies, then we'll direct you to classroom number 111. We have a set of Sharpie markers. You can label things and then drop them off in here. There's time before it starts in the morning, and there's time afterwards for you to get that done. So no, I would arrive by 8 o'clock, though, if you're elementary. Yes, ma'am.
So you're saying label the Clorox wipes and the Sharpie markers, label that? Are you talking about the individuals?
We always do.
Label that?
We just label everything. Fun.
It's fun.
Like little. Okay, so here's the schedule overview for the next 3 days. I missed one. I'm so sorry. She's like, you asked.
Well, we're a little confused because like high school and middle school, you know, binder chemistry and this, we don't have to bring that.
No.
Middle school and high school.
No, this is, don't bring any of your personal supplies. Middle school and high school, no personal supplies. Wipes, paper towels, Sharpie markers that are gonna go to the gym markers and things like that. Bring those things that are donated to the school and that are used in bulk.
Okay, but in the list that I saw, there were not Clorox wipes.
I don't have it memorized. I can go look at it. I can pull up a list for you just like if you wanna know.
Some of the lists are different. Not everybody brings Clorox wipes, not everybody brings markers.
So you just go by your grade list. You're good. No worries. No sweat. Yes.
We were just looking on the thing, and I think the copy paper were things you had to buy individually, and I don't think those are purchased through DPI.
Oh, okay.
But can somebody verify that for sure?
I will ask about that.
Mrs. Shalina, I'll text you.
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta have this one. You just go look in the room.
Okay, thank you. I've never purchased EPI, so I can't tell you.
I think there are highlighted yellow options that you can buy on your own, and I think the rings are.
Okay, she's gonna go check. She'll come back and we'll answer that question. Okay, so tomorrow, the 15th.
You have some behind you.
Oh my goodness, yes, yes.
Where is the list of school supplies for high school?
I can get you the website.
That would be great, thank you.
This afternoon, if your student is completely new to Legacy, 5th through 12th grade, we have a brand new to Legacy student orientation this year.
Yes, drop them off. Mainly, we need to spend some time with our new students today. They will be getting their Chromebooks, so they need to bring their Chromebook case that they're going to use. We're going to get them all logged on, and so that we know that they don't have any trouble, and then they won't have to worry about their Chromebook and waiting in line on Thursday. They can spend more time finding their classes and things like that.
Trying to get a Chromebook, there are several different sizes. What size?
11 and a half? 11 and a half.
So like the 14-inch one is perfect. The 14-inch I think is
The
perfect.
Chromebook itself is 11 and a half.
Okay.
I'm just finding out about the Chromebook case being necessary for today for my middle school child. I don't have anything.
We'll work that out.
Can we just bring like a regular, I have like a neoprene case, it's not on the
That's fine.
It's like a 15. It has we can get the EPI school supplies once a day. I mean, all I'm sorry, I'm not bringing so.
Next, Shalana's up here.
So yes, sir.
I don't think the
No,
person's
that
here
has to be
to the
checked out.
checkout list.
She's not here
here
tomorrow.
today.
And it doesn't look like we have the complete. It
If
looks
you're
like we have the
missing
80s right here.
something, yes, it's not like you can't come here Monday without that. It's okay.
It's gonna be a.
And really, like, somebody made a point about, there might be some highlighted items specific. Every grade level is different, okay? So if your grade level says to purchase the paper, there is paper in there, so that means some grade levels, the paper could have been included in your EPI packet. So each grade level is different, okay? And a lot of that is done because if we had everybody bring Clorox wipes, well then we'd have it coming everywhere, which is what happened, which is why we had to cut it off of some. We've still got mounds of it from prior years. So we took it off of some grade levels and left it on others. So that's why they're all different. All of yours are not going to be the same. So just go to your specific list. If you order the packet and you've covered what was highlighted, or if there's nothing highlighted, you're good. You're done. Okay? So I would just check your own, and it's not needed for admission on Monday.
Okay, I'm gonna try to breeze through this to catch up on some time. So the 15th tomorrow, you'll need to be here from 8 to 1:45. In the morning, we have a group session in the gym, and then you'll break out into classroom breakout sessions where you'll go to each of your child's teachers, which is why you need the green folder. It's got your child's schedule in it, and it'll give you the room numbers and tell you where to go in the building. The 16th, We're gonna have that same large group session in the morning. So if you have elementary kids and you've already heard that tomorrow, there's no need for you to come back Wednesday morning at 8 a.m. and hear the same thing again, tailored to the middle high school kids. So you can come back at 10 o'clock. Please bring your green folder because your child's schedule will be in that as well, and you'll need to know room numbers for where to go for those classroom visits after 10 o'clock. So if you have elementary and middle school, you're going to come tomorrow morning at 8, and then Wednesday at 10, and you're going to bring your green folder back with you. On the 17th, we have middle and high school orientation. Middle school is from 12:30 to 3. High school is 9 to 11:30. And we have a substitute information meeting that morning at 11. If you're interested in subbing for us, you can come and get information at that time. Then Thursday night, we have our Meet the Teacher. If you have a child in elementary school, on Monday, Wednesday, you'll come at 5:30. If you have an elementary student Tuesday, Thursday, you'll come at 6:30. It helps us stagger the parking in the parking lots out there. We have some teachers to share classrooms.
That's only elementary?
That's only elementary Meet the Teacher, yes.
Okay, so I do have one question, sorry. So are you saying elementary comes on Wednesday also at 10 a.m.?
No. Tuesday's elementary, Wednesday's middle and high school. So if you don't have a middle schooler or a high schooler, you're finished tomorrow at 1:45. We have, she just reminded me, a snow cone truck coming to meet the teacher. If you have elementary kiddos, it's Flying Flamingo and it's $4. You can bring that if you want your child to get to have one. So just real quickly, elements to have a great home day. Your teacher is there for you and they mean it with all of their heart. Unless they're teaching 4 days a week, they'll respond to your email within an hour. They're watching for that. It either comes to their phone or their laptop, and they're there to support you. Just be realistic, like we said earlier, with your own expectations. You're brand new to this, and so is your child. And unless you've homeschooled with them, you've probably not had this teacher-student education expectations, lesson plans laid out in front of you thing. So you'll get to know your child's personality and learning style and how it is similar or different from the way you operate when it comes to tasks. So be realistic with your expectations. You'll get to know yourself and just take breaks when you can. Honestly, go outside for a little while, get some fresh air, do something active, have a snack, come back and get back to it. So don't feel like you have to trudge through and you can't get up from the table and there's tears and you're like, it's day 1 and I'm dying, I don't know how to do this. Just be realistic, take breaks, come back to it in a little while. You will also have classmates as a resource and other parents. So we have a private Facebook page for every grade level. Unless you and I are personal friends, I cannot add you to it. So you will have to request to join it, and then it's a closed forum. If you have a missing paper in your folder, maybe another parent can scan it and send it to you. Or if you have a question about something, you can ask another parent on there, and they'll see it and respond. It's private groups per grade level. They are all titled the same with the exception of the grade number. So it says Legacy Prep Grade 4, Legacy Prep Grade 7, Legacy Prep Grade 12. They're all entitled the same thing. So you can search that on Facebook, request to join. We'll get that email and approve you to join. So you have other parents there as well to support you. And please hear me when I say all of us will say the same thing. We mean it when we say we're better together. It's no fun to try to feel like it's you taking on the whole wide world. That's why those biblical integration things are in there, so you don't feel like you have to reinvent the wheel and make everything magical and beautiful. Your teachers work really hard for that. You're co-teaching with them at home. We're better together. You're not going to be labeled that mom or that dad for asking questions. I still ask questions on a regular basis, and I'm in year 7. So, Facebook pages are there, classmates, other co-teachers. Workload. If you feel like it's a little heavy, just email your teacher and say, hey, has anybody else said, we're working 3 hours on this math, what can I do differently? Or have you seen that in class? Does he or she work slower? Just try to figure it out with your teachers. If we had 10 of 12 saying it's taking me too long, as a teacher in a classroom, I I need to filter through some of that a little bit. We're doing some. So just open communication in a kind way, right? Clothe yourselves in gentleness and kindness. Other classroom parents. So you'll get to know your kiddos' personality and learning style and what motivates them. That's a really fun one. If they are super motivated, you can work towards whatever that is. For mine, it's horseback riding, or spirit sticks, or allowance, or good grade money they get from their grandparents. I mean, anything. You just remind them a lot of praise, a lot of encouragement. Even if it's Monday, or Tuesday, I guess, Tuesday blues, and you're just feeling down and like you're burdened with things, just try to find one thing you can praise them for and encourage them for, and that'll lift all of your spirits. So I wrote this out in John. These are the words in red, which are my absolute favorite. I feel like it's literally words from the mouth of God. No human interpretation here. It's just directly what he said to our hearts. And in John chapter 16, Jesus was talking, and he said, you will have trials. But I'm telling you this to give you peace. And so you reread that again and think, trials, peace. But he said, I've come and have overcome the world. So yes, you're going to have trials, but I come that you can have peace and not be overwhelmed by that. So a couple weeks ago, Sweet Mom here just reminded me of that little corner in our weekly email. I'll try to give you some kind of little devotional to boost your spirit for the week. And last week's was, cast all your anxieties on him. And I wrote in there, I've even felt guilty for that before, thinking he's done so much already, but he asked us to do that. And he convicted my heart a while ago, telling me, don't you trust me with it? And I thought, oh, it's not that I don't trust you with it, it's that I feel badly for, okay, I'll do it. You know, I just cast them all at his feet, and then don't pick it back up again when you walk away. But he's come already, and it's overcome the world, so you don't have to suffer in quiet, alone at home, and you can honestly spend your quiet time in the morning before you open that bedroom door and walk out. Your cup is full and overflowing, and you can pour into your kiddos. So don't forget to invest in your own personal quiet time. Which leads us to point 2. You are not doing this alone. Rely on the shepherd. So Psalm 23, we all could probably quote together. But verse 3 reminds us that he is the one who refreshes our soul. We all need refreshing when we pour it out and pour it out. So rely on the shepherd. He refreshes my soul, and he guides us along paths for his name's sake. So all that we're doing in service to our families, a sacrificial love, is to honor our Father who gifted them to us. Our children are a reward. So just be refreshed by him. Spend time in the Word. Your personal relationship with him comes before your personal relationship and teaching relationship with your children. Another point we put on here to honor him is that if any conflict of any kind arises during the year, in passing you run into another parent who's not having one of those beautiful rainbow sparkly unicorn days, and they say something in passing, don't go home and go, and just rehearse it and replay it in your mind. We've all been there, so please give people the benefit of the doubt. They might not even have meant it that way, just might have come out a way they didn't mean it to come out. So give others the benefit of the doubt, and it'll smooth things over. Most of the time, that whole gentle answer turns away wrath thing as truth, because it comes from his word, therefore it's true. A few organizational tips for you. You've got these folders coming home every day, so empty them out so they don't bulk up and look like a second Bible in your kiddo's backpack. Make your supplies easily accessible at home. Put them out of sight at the end of the day. So we don't just want to wear the hat of teacher, right? We want to have set hours and get into a routine where we still get up at school time on those home days to get our work done, and then we put it away out of sight so we can have family dinner time and still like each other and not feel like we're overwhelmed by stuff everywhere. I call it visual chaos. I don't function well in that. So when I'm done with school, I want to be done and put it away at the end of the day. We have some amazing parents. We'll give them a little pat on the back here in a minute, but we have what's called Coffee Connections. We're bringing back this year. It's a monthly get together with our admin panel and some veteran parents, and we're gonna have coffee and just hang out and fellowship together. This will come out in your weekly email. You'll hear them a lot. Read the thing, please. That's how we're trying to get all this information to you, but you must read it. Can't make you read it. But these coffee connections, we're going to have discussions about fostering the heart of your child for God. We have an organizational tip one at the very beginning of the school year to say, here's how we do it, here's how we do it, here's how we do it. How do y'all do it? And just kind of feed off one another. How do you keep up with 3 different kids' grades and there's like 1,000 papers, you know, what do you do with them? So we're going to get together, visit, and talk about these different things. Here's a couple pictures. Some kids like to work at the breakfast time table. Those ones are the ones I say, pick up all your stuff so we can have dinner, okay? Some of them like to work at a real desk with a computer in front of them. Whatever floats your boat, kiddo. I have some that prefer the trampoline, and you know what? If you get your work done, I'm fine with that. You're out in the sunshine. That's the beauty, part of the beauty of this, right? Sometimes we have that fire crackling in the fall. Y'all, it's coming. Not today, but it's coming. I can't wait. But it's chilly, and I'm not a huge heater gal, so man, I love it. Nice and cool. But we'll lay out by that crackling fire. Oh my goodness. It's just so awesome. Not today, but one day. So desk, table, trampoline, fire, wherever you get it done. Kudos, pat on the back, lots of praise. Some people use a common calendar, color coordinate. Might be me. In the planner, you can see everybody's deadlines that way. Put your backpacks out of sight. You guys had a link to an online new parent orientation underneath family on our website. You can go back to that because it's just all this information in one place for you. And we have a PPO, our Pride Parent Group. That's our monthly get-together. We have a ton of events during the year, but our first one is probably the largest because all of you guys are bringing in, and all of us are bringing in these math papers, seriously, like this thick for elementary consumable times, you know, however many kids. So we get together in here and we have a sorting social. So if Mrs. Smith said she'd like them all to be collated and paper clipped, we literally spread them out on tables and we just snake through and collate things in paper clip and have ourselves a good old time. We'll have some drinks and snacks. You'll have a small time of devotion and prayer, and then help our teachers or our community service in some way every month. And it is the first Wednesday and Thursday of the month, right after drop-off. We start at 8:30, usually right here. And every month that you attend, you receive a service hour. Each family is required to have 20 volunteer hours every year. So you get one service hour just for coming to these, which is fantastic. Get to hang out, get to know people, serve our teachers, and you get an hour training.
How do you find out about the other volunteer opportunities?
Well, we have two things. This first day, we'll have sign-up sheets laid out for the entire year's events, and you can sign up, mark your planner, and you've got them for the full 9 months. Secondly, in that weekly email, there it is again, there's a sheet at the end that says current needs, bullet pointed, and it's updated weekly as needs come along. Sometimes they'll even post them on the parent page, which is Legacy Prep parent page. About an hour. The first one's longer because you have all those papers manually. She asked how long they normally last, about an hour. Okay, each grade level has what's called family ministry reps. So as much as I would love to get to talk to all of you every day, each grade level has a mom who's kind of got her ear to the ground, touching base with her grade level. She's there for you for all kinds of support. If you have questions, if you need coaching on how to do this thing, if you have prayer needs, you can come to her. You're going to hear from her via email the second week of school. And she will also give you, since you're brand new to Legacy, a personal one-on-one liaison family. And these beautiful-hearted people have literally volunteered and said, I want to do that. Can I please be a Legacy liaison family? So they've been here at least 2 years and kind of know the ropes and are happy to walk you through things. It's kind of like your kiddo's first day when they get their buddy or ambassador. He or she is yours, but for the whole year. So she'll contact you at least once a month at the beginning, touch base with you. How are you doing? Please be honest. Like I took my daughter to the MRI for a follow-up of her MRI, and I said, please be honest with yourself and with us. How is the knee doing? So if your liaison asks you, how are you doing? That's the time to be honest. Please do not suffer in silence at home. And nobody knows, because there's all this support here for you, and we are better together, really. You also have an opportunity to sign up if you want to be a room mom. This is your typical teacher help. There's a sign-up sheet during those classroom visits tomorrow and Wednesday when you're visiting each one. There will be a sign-up sheet to be a room mom. This is the class parties, and we don't do a lot because our minutes are precious, but we do a Christmas and an end-of-the-year party. You can sign up if you're interested. Obviously, if 5 people sign up, we're just going to pray over that and try to pick the one we think would be the best fit to be better together with the teacher for the school year. So look at all these ways where you can get help. Do you sense a theme here? Please do not feel like you're the only boat in the ocean. Your classroom teachers are there to help you. Our website's full of information. The family handbook is there as a reference. Family Ministry tab has additional recommended resources for you. You can revisit the online parent orientation. We even have a Pinterest page. And Gina Francis or Cindy Summers can help you Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. I'm here Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and that is all of our hearts. And we mean that to support you. So we'll come alongside you. You've got your legacy liaisons, fellow parents, the Facebook pages, the family ministry reps. You're not alone. I won't start singing. So these ladies that are coming to talk to you are actually the ones who put together breakfast for us this morning. So let's see.
Hi guys, I hope I got to meet each of you because that was on our hearts today to do that. Hopefully you got a handshake or a hug and an introduction from all of us. I want to give Gina all the credit for revamping our parent team. These aprons are part of that. You should see more of these as the year goes on, serving you both physically and spiritually in your walk with starting this new mission. I hope you enjoyed breakfast. I hope you were able to do that. That is all part of that. We will do lots of things like teacher appreciation lunches and the monthly meetings. Those are all going to be part of that. If I didn't meet you, I apologize. My name is Adrienne Bird. This is our 10th year here at Legacy. My husband and I have 4 children, 11th grade, 6th grade, 3rd grade, and a kinder. This will be our first year where everybody is finally at school. It's exciting. Our 11th grader is going to be here every day just for, in the mornings like they talked about earlier. Our 6th grader is here Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then I have the elementary kiddos on Tuesday, Thursday, so that I get more time with each of my kids. We decided to do that. So somebody's always here and somebody's always at home at my house. If you'll indulge me a little bit, I want to give you a little testimony about the school and what it means to my family. 11 years ago, Audra brought her staff to our church, and we had a family conference to learn about a school that was interested in using our brand new church facilities. The entire meeting was informative and eye-opening. Our pastor was sure that this program was a good fit for our church. The school also felt like our facilities were going to work for them. It felt like a perfect match. The meeting felt positive and almost seemed like a formality in the inevitable plan for the school to go into our church. The next week, our church voted, Southern Baptist, that's how we roll, right? The church voted as a congregation, want to clarify that, to propose a vote, and to the surprise of the pastor, surprise to Audra and her staff, and to most of the congregation, it did not pass. That was a dark time for the school. They needed a space very quickly. It was an uncertain time for our pastor, for our congregation. But for our family, we would come to learn that it was a divine appointment for our family. We didn't know that at first, but we now know that as years have gone on, that had to happen for my little family that was just 2 kiddos at the time, 1 school-age kiddo at the time, to learn about this place. What no one knew at the time was that my husband and I had been praying for a new educational option for our only school-age daughter. She was in her first year of public school. She was bored. The teacher was using her as an extra set of hands in the classroom, and she hated it. As a public school teacher, I just, my husband went to public school, I went to public school, that's where our kids were going to go. So when we started looking at the alternative private schools in our area, we had sticker shock. Many of you, I'm sure, just having gone through the process, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So we committed the decision to prayer. We asked that if we were to entertain a new option for her, that it would reveal itself. And here we are a decade later, having been here and having all of these kiddos here and loving it. I tell you this story because I want you to hear a couple of things from that. Number one, not a single one of you are here today by accident. I want you to hold that in your heart when your days get long. You are not here because of just happenstance. People were put in your life, or instances happened to get you to know about the school, just like it happened to my family. I want you to believe that, and I want you to really feel the impact of what that means for you sitting here today. The second thing I want you to know is that just like my husband and I prayed to be led to an unknown next step for our child's education, the leadership here, the staff here, the teachers, and these legacy families have prayed for you before we even knew your name, before we knew your face. We prayed for you. We wanted you here before we knew you. Hear that. Know that. You have been prayed for. You will continue to be prayed for. Even if we don't have classes together, even if your kid doesn't ever know my kid. You are here for a purpose, and we want you here. Thank you so much.
My name is Jennifer Freeman, and this is our 9th year here at the school, and we have 4 girls. I've got one going in 9th and one going in 7th, and twins going into 5th grade. And I'm just so grateful y'all are here, and I'm just so grateful to be part of the Legacy family. And I use that word purposely because it is. It's like a family to us. It's like our family. We hang out with Legacy people. We do life with Legacy people, and our kids have precious friends here. So we're just so grateful to be here. So I'm just going to tell you all some things that I love really about Legacy and about the school. The first thing that we are so grateful for is just the biblical worldview that this school has. And whatever your child is studying, be math, science, history, or Bible class, they're going to see that through the grid of God's Word. And that's super encouraging for us and for our family, just that somebody else is backing up what we're saying at home. So that's one of the first things that we just love. Another thing that we love is just having the gift of time with our kids. Tuesdays and Thursdays, I love spending that extra time with the girls. It's not like every day it's peaches and roses every single time, but I would never regret having that extra time that I'm spending with them, as I have one going into high school. It's just going super fast, and so I'm just really grateful for having that extra gift of time with them. And another thing that we really are just so grateful for is just the teachers here at Legacy. The teachers here have just been such a blessing for our girls, and just the relationships that we formed, and the relationships that Miles and I have, that we can have these conversations with people that really care about our kids, not just academically, but also spiritually and emotionally, and just being able to, if I need to get in touch with the teacher, they get back to me, and just people that really care about your kids and about their future. That has just been a huge blessing. And probably the last thing I would say is just like I said earlier about being a family, the other thing I appreciate is just the community here. I don't know how to even put a word to it, but this is just a special place. It really is. Not because we're a bunch of perfect people, because we're not. You know, that's called heaven. We're not there yet, but it is just a sweet family. It's just a place where we are raising our kids with just like-minded people, and so that has just been just so grateful for that. So for you guys, I guess I was just going to encourage y'all, because you're like drinking out of a water hose today, and I remember the first time leaving and just being like, oh my word, my head was swimming. There's a lot of information you're taking in, but just give yourself some time. Give yourself 6 to 8 weeks. You know, don't make any decisions the first couple weeks, because it takes a while to get in a rhythm, and even though I'm doing this for the 9th year, it takes every year looks a little different. So it just takes some time to find out, you know, who's going to sit where and what works best. And maybe we do one subject at night before the day. You know, that just all takes some time. So just give yourself some time to kind of get in a rhythm. And the other thing I would encourage y'all to do is y'all get involved. There are lots of ways to get involved here at Legacy. Be it, you know, helping with the room mom, or selling tickets at a sporting event, or, you know, if you want to put on a entire gala. Or there are lots of ways to get involved, but that is how I've formed a lot of the deep relationships that I have here, is by you really get to know people when you serve alongside them. So that's something that I just encourage you guys to do. And just know, like she's been saying, I second this, that you guys are not alone, and we have prayed for you. We want you to be successful, and we want this to be a great experience. So if you're struggling, just ask for help. Ask for help from other parents or administration or whoever. We want this to be a success for you guys, and people want you to ask questions, and we want y'all to be as encouraged as we have been being here. So I'm grateful y'all are here, and I'm just looking forward to getting to know all these new faces. And please, if you have any questions, just let me know. So thankful for you guys.
My name is Taylor Johnson, and I have a kindergartner and a 3rd grader. So she's been here. This will be our 4th year at Legacy. And I'm also going to be a family ministry rep this year, so I thought it'd be fun to come here and get to know some of y'all. I don't know whether I'll be 3rd or kindergarten, but I'll be that person to help you just get to know things and be able to be there as prayer support and anything that you need. So it's good to be here. I remember sitting here and all the information and thinking I'm going to remember everything, but I know that you guys are going to do amazing. So how I got here, I think before I even had kids, I was in Sunday school, and this lady was talking about this school called Legacy and the university model, and how you would go to school and then you would do it at home, and I immediately just was drawn to that and so excited to learn more about it. And my husband and I were just attracted to the idea, and we decided to try it out once we had kids. Unfortunately, you guys were over by vendors at that point, and then you moved over here, but we found some wonderful friends to carpool with that made it work out really well. And so just want to share 3 things that I love about Legacy, that our family loves about Legacy. First thing would be the model, just that we get that time. You know, when you send your kids off to elementary school, you know, there's no time to invest except the weekends, but here we get those 2 days, which are so precious. So just love to be able to invest in them, you know, in their character and in their faith, and then as well as get to be part of the academics is a great thing. And then the teachers, we've loved all our teachers so far. It's just, our kids come home so happy, and every year they say it's their favorite teacher, and then the next year it's their favorite teacher. So I just think that the teachers are so invested, not just in the academics, but in their faith and in their character, that it's a great partnership to have, and it's just, we're very thankful for them. And then the 3rd thing is just the families. I mean, it's very much a like-minded community, because we all want the same things for our families and being able to invest in them and our values. And so we have found, you know, my kids have made some great friends that I just love that they have. and met some great parents as well that I can connect with. And so just want to encourage you in that, like they were saying, to really get involved in meeting someone today, get a number, somebody that you can contact. And then, tomorrow when you meet some veteran parents, to get a number and just be able to contact people. Check out that Facebook page. That's helped me a ton when I've lost an assignment and I need to find it, and just put it on Facebook and somebody's got it there for me. So it's definitely a sense of community here, a sense of family. So hope that you guys find that to be true and that you find it to be like home. Thanks.
Carson's going into the 8th grade. He's very involved here. In fact, this past year he actually recorded for the first time. It took us 4 years to decide that maybe we should record our graduation ceremonies. And so Carson actually did that for us. And again, he's here running the camera today. So thank you, Carson. I appreciate what you just said. So we're going to open up the panel for questions, but just some thoughts I wrote down sitting here that, tools that will help you. Number one, when you leave today and go home, do try to get into Praxis. Go ahead and figure out how to get logged in, make sure that works, because it's your key to success on the home day. So make sure, you may not be able to see anything once you get in there, but do try to log in and make sure that you have access to all that you need to have access to. Make sure both, if you have more than one child coming to Legacy, make sure those children are all in there. Disregard the schedule at this point. We're still, especially for middle school and high school, still putting schedules in, so your child's schedule may not be complete. In fact, we're still interviewing and registering parents today, so don't panic if your schedule is different, Monday than it is today. Don't panic. The other thing is on Sunday, so school starts next Monday. So on Sunday, 5 o'clock, 5:30, do go in and print your lesson plan. Make sure that you can see it, that you're aware of it, and I would say that make that a habit. Every Sunday, go in, print your lesson plan. Just review it real quickly that evening. My kids will usually print it, or I'll print it, and I'll even as I have a 12th grader this year, I'll still take a look at his lesson plan just so that I know, what's coming up for the week. Same with my 7th grader. It just helps for you to know, is this a long week with lots of writing, or is this one of those weeks where, everything seems fairly manageable? I need to know if I'm going to be proofing a paper, or, if we're still in the early stages of that writing. So just read over it and make sure that you're aware of, things that are coming up for the week. And then I guess the other thing I would add about home days is just, it's going to take you a while. You've heard the 6 to 8 weeks, but be consistent with whatever you find that works. Be consistent. We get up at the same time on Tuesday and Thursdays. We have breakfast, brush teeth, come to the table. That's every day, so there's no doubt, what we're going to do for that day. And you just want to set the expectation that it is a school day. Yes, you're at home, but this is a school day, and we're going to complete school work. We try our best not to call it homework because that's not necessarily what it is, but the work is done at home. You're completing work that normally your child would complete in class, so obviously that work is very important. So you want to make that a priority of your day, is finishing that work. And our goal is to have our work finished so that in the evenings we have that together. Sometimes dinner may be out, but it's together. And so, that's the goal of our family, is to finish that so that everybody's eating dinner at the same time, if possible. Okay, are there any questions that we can answer and nothing is too silly or too off the wall or whatever?
Can I say one more thing? So, Praxis, when you log in and you're in the parent portal, and if something happens and you can't see your kids' classes for that day, on Wednesday, you will meet all their teachers. You'll have their email addresses. Just email them right away, and they will go ahead and email you the lesson for that day or whatever is going on. I mean, if you have printed it out on Sunday, maybe you see a glitch or something, and you can't figure it out, just go ahead and email the teacher that night, and then they'll know that it's time sensitive. Oh, we didn't know to bring this class. Whatever the case may be, just email those teachers and let them know as soon as possible.
And I would also suggest if you have middle and high school students, print out that lesson plan and send it to school with them. Because there are times when teachers may make a change or add something, and that way they have an opportunity to make changes directly onto their RenWeb. And then for our middle and high school students who might have a study hall, they have that Praxis there so they know what their homework is, and they can begin working on that right away.